Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me on my weekly video tutorial once again. This is going to be CMS part 2. We are going to make a custom menu system similar to the one I showed you guys previously in Edengate. I am going to be speaking a bit fast this video tutorial, and that's mainly because I'm trying to keep it down, going back to my previous principle of keeping my videos a bit shorter to kind of retain better audience attention. I will cover everything, but I will not be talking to you, like you're stupid. I think at this point you should have a strong idea of how to do everything that I will be going over. So I don't feel I don't feel there's a need to repeat things and go into things in too much detail. Let's just jump right into it. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So this is obviously a simplified version of the custom menu system that you saw in Edengate. But it's meant to get the job done. So what I'm doing right now is increasing my HP and MP variables. You can see the HP and MP variables are increased in the status menu. I just decreased my HP variable, increased my MP variable. Okay, these are the core concepts that you need to know as far as the CMS goes. Once you figure out how to do everything that I just showed you, you can build upon your own unique custom menu system that utilizes, better graphics, more variables, that's more specific, more detailed. So for the purposes of time in this tutorial, I'm just keeping it simple. In terms of graphics and coding and all that, but what you can build upon this. The first thing you need to do is go into your database. The last week CMS has several entries here in the database to build that custom menu system. This week's entry, this week's CMS only has one entry, 28. I named it CMS Part 2. The trigger is parallel process, and the trigger switch is the same as last week's 40. Okay, CMS switch start. The reason we're using that switch is because when we go to our event on our map, you can see we turn it on in the map right here. Okay, so that's switch 40 being turned on. Now, if I go back here, once it has been turned on, it's basically a conditional branch checking to see if switch 43 CMS on. This is a new switch. Checking to see if that's on. If it is on, nothing happens. If it's not on, everything in the else handler occurs. In the else handler, I do have a key input process. So this is a new variable again. Everything here is new. So key input process 63, checking to see if this conditional branch 6, if the value 6 has been inputted, which means that the player has pressed X or escape. If the player has pressed X or escape, then a sound effect plays just for audio feedback to the player. Then we have the forbidding of the main menu. I like to call it the ugly default menu. So we're not gonna use that. Instead, what we're gonna do is go to this next line here. This is new. This and this is new for this week's tutorial. Everything else you should know how to do by now. Memorize location is found on page 2. Memorize position. So we're basically creating 3 variables. You can name them whatever you want. Just make sure they're 3 different variables. This is the hero's ID, where the map ID, where the hero is on the map. This is the hero's specific X coordinate. This is the hero's specific Y coordinate. Be smart about what you name them. I just have it named Hero X and Hero Y, and after that we have a memorized BGM. BGM, once again, background music. We're memorizing the music that is currently playing on your map. That's what it does. Next up, we have a show picture, highest value 50. The reason why it's the highest value is because we want this image, I named it nighttime, to be displayed over every other picture on your map. This image right here has a 1 pixel bar running across the top. You can't see it, but it's just a white horizontal stripe, and that's because we don't want this black to be transparent. when we import it into the engine. We want the black to remain there. All we want to do is click on the left click on the white horizontal stripe and make that transparent in the engine, because that will be transparent. If it's set to a magnification of 100, that transparency would show. We don't want that transparency to show. We want to set the magnification to 105 with a transparency of 100 initially. Then we're going to move this picture with a transition time of 1 second, 1/10 of a second, still with a magnification of 105, specific coordinates, default that 160, 120, and we'll move the transparency down to 0, which means that it's invisible, or it becomes visible. Excuse me. Then we have a teleport. I teleport the player or the hero right here, and you'll find out why I chose that location specifically in a few seconds. Then we have a change sprite association that can be found on page 1 right here. What we're doing is we're changing the sprite of this hero to something blank. When we import this character set into the engine, you select a blank, the background color to make that transparent. We're basically setting this sprite to this transparent background, and that's just so that the sprite disappears, the character's graphics disappear. And then we have a switch operation. We're changing the switch 43 CMS on, and we're turning it on. Okay, that's all you have to worry about there. Once it is on, it goes. If the player presses X on his keyboard, his or her keyboard, nothing would happen, because there's nothing following this line right here. Now, once the player has pressed X and is teleported to this map right here, and specifically to this tile, these two are just, there's nothing in here. These are just basically blocks with the event layer set to same layer as hero to kind of encapsulate the hero, prevents the player from walking around all over the place. Not necessary for a 320 by 240 or a what size is this? 20 by 15. Not necessarily necessary for this. If it was a 640 by 480 where the map is scrollable depending on where the player is, then it would be necessary, but this is just a precaution that I like to take. Basically, the way that this map is run are through these events. This is how the magic happens, and this one, you want to name your events. This one is selection right here, key input process. If the conditional branch, if the player presses down on the keyboard, then I believe 1 is down, then the following occur. We have 5 options on our, so let me get rid of all these. 5 options in our main menu: status, item, equip, journal, and options. So status would be 0, items 1, options 4. This variable, this condition basically checks to see if this variable is equal to 4, greater or equal to 4. If it is, then we change that variable to be 0, which means if the player presses down after options, it would go back to status. So right here, if the player presses down from options, status would be highlighted. If not, if it's not on options, if it's on status through journal, then you just add the value of 1 to that variable, which means if it's status, it would be items. If it's items, it would be equip. This is basically the opposite. The opposite is true. So if this variable, it's checking to see, this condition is checking to see if this variable has a value of 4, which means the player is pressing up. If this value is set to 0, less than or equal to 0, then you're basically changing that value to 4. Otherwise, you're changing it to -1. Basically, that's saying, visually looking at it, that's saying if you're on the map, you're on status, that's been highlighted. You press up on the keyboard, you'd go to options. If any of these are highlighted items through options and you press up on the keyboard, then if it's options, it would be journal, journal, equip, equip, items, items, instead. Then it would be status. That's basically what this event is doing. This is the display event. You have that variable 64. If that variable has a value of 0, then you're basically changing the panorama. So right now the panorama would be set to this image right here, where status is highlighted. If it has a value of 4, then the panorama that I would change it to is this image right here, where options is highlighted. And you could obviously do this with pictures if you want. I'm choosing to do it with panoramas, and that can be found right here, the change parallax background. So that window can be found right there, and that's basically what this display event does. Finally, you have the enter key pressed. Right now, all you do is press enter on the status option. So that's what it's checking to see if variable 64 is 0, which means that status is highlighted. If the player presses 5, so it's checking to see if this variable CMS key input has the value of 5, which means player presses enter or Z, and you do sound effect, and you teleport it to this map right here, which is the status menu. Once again, I'm specifically teleporting it right here, where it's being encapsulated, where the player is being encapsulated by these two black events. You have this event right here, which changes the weather effect to none, and the tint to its default value. You're gonna want that unless you want rain to appear on your status menu, which I don't think you do. You're gonna want that, as well as a play BGM. You don't need this, but this will allow a bit more uniqueness to your map. Change the music whenever you enter your main menu. Then I have a ton of wait event lines set, and that's basically because of this event right here. Checking to see if X or escape has been pressed. If it has, then you have a sound effect, show picture 50, nighttime. We're moving that to a transparency of 0 and 0. Then we're doing a change sprite, changing that sprite back to normal. And then play memorize BGM. If we did not have all of these wait events right here, then what would happen is the player would press X, this line would run, play memorize BGM, and remember we set memorize BGM right here. So basically what would happen is right here we would play the song that's playing this map on this map right here. Unfortunately, what would also happen if I didn't have these wait events is that this play BGM triumph would be playing on a loop constantly without any wait, which means that as soon as this song plays, the song triumph would play right after, which means when we get back to this map right here, triumph would be playing. And we don't want our custom menu systems music to be playing on this map, so we have these wait events. Moving on, I have a recall to location. This just is basically a teleport line using variables. We're recalling or teleporting to the values being stored in these map ID X and Y. And we have a switch CMS turned off, okay? Because we have that turned off, when you go back to the playable map, you can press X again, and because it's not turned on, these lines will play. They will run, and you'll be able to get back into this menu. In the status menu, this is the HP bar right here. I created a variable 72 and 73, so 72 is HP, 73 is MP. If 72 is, or the HP is equal to 3, then I have a show picture 40 with this graphic right here. Magnification 100, coordinates, and transparency. If the HP is equal to 0, I'm basically erasing the picture. If HP is equal to 1, I'm displaying this graphic, and same deal with the MP. If MP is 3, then this graphic is being shown. If the MP is 1, then this graphic is being shown. If MP is 0, then we're erasing picture 39. And that's all you need to know. There's no variable references needed for these pictures. That's for the HP bar. If you don't want to use the HP bar, if you say want to use a numerical value to display your HP MP, or you could do, you know, these values for your defense, your experience, your agility, whatever you want. If you want to display it numerically, then, you know, same thing for the conditional branch. If the variable 72, you don't need different variables here. You can still use the standard HP, hero HP variable 72. If it's equal to 3, then you show picture 38, and these are the graphics that I'm using for the numerical values 0 through 3. Obviously, in a full-blown game, your hero is going to have 999 HP over 999 or whatever, you know, at max level. So you're going to want images 0 through 9, and you're going to want to display them through several picture numbers. So the 100th place in 999 would be 38, the 10th place would be picture 39, and the 1st place for 999 would be picture 40. So that's how you do it. You don't need variable references once again, but you do need to know exactly where on the map it's going to display, because these are just, you know, a couple of pixels by couple of pixels. This is not a 320 by 240 image, so you're going to want to play around with this until you get it just right. For me, that was 62 and 170 for the hero's HP. For the hero's MP, that was 62 and 203 for the Y. That's essentially how you do it. You know, if hero's MP is 3, then that image shows. If the hero's MP is 0, then 0 shows. Okay? And these are pictures 37. For this event, it's simple. Just key input process. If the player presses the escape key, then play sound effect, and he's teleported back to the status menu. On the playable map, you know, all I'm doing here, you saw me earlier on, this is just checking to see if it's 3 or more. If it is 3 or more, the hero's HP goes up by 1. Or if it's not 3 or more, it goes up by 1. If it is 3 or more, then nothing happens. Right here, I'm just lowering the HP, so if it's 0 or less, then nothing happens. But if it's 1 or more, then hero's HP gets subtracted by 1 every time I press enter on this event. We're just doing the same thing with the MP here, increasing it and decreasing it. So that in a nutshell is how you would do a custom menu system similar to the one found in Eden Gate. Let me show it to you guys just one more time really quick. Full HP bar, full MP bar, HP and MP are both equal to 3. So I know it was a quick tutorial, but that is the foundation, the fundamentals that you do need to know in order to build upon. Once again, if any of this did not make any sense to you, please watch my previous tutorials on key input processing, which we covered last week for the CMS part 1, the radial menu, the variables, switches, conditional branches. You know, I have tutorials for all of those. So even teleport events, you know, if you don't know how to get from this map to this map, from this map to this map, and from this map back to this map, and from this map back to this map, you know, there's teleport events. Please watch previous tutorials. I've done those several times, making, you know, these towns and all the shops within the towns, so shops like these. That is it in a nutshell. If you guys have any comments or concerns, any feedbacks, any words of encouragement, any support that you'd like to offer, you know, that would be greatly appreciated. You can message me on my YouTube account. So you can go here and message me on my YouTube account. I check this every day, or you can go to my blog, lotussoftware.blogspot.com, and right under my contacts, Under my user profile, I have 2 email addresses which I check every day.